Do not travel to America. Do not travel to America for the next 4 years. Especially as a black or brown person. You do not want to get caught up in Trump's deportations. I'm sure by now you've heard of the German and UK tourists who were arrested by ICE and detained for days. Allegedly, the German tourists were chained. You do not want that to be your story, especially if you are taking your family on holiday with you. We already know that Trump has a checkered history with racism, and he's managed to infect a large proportion of that country. Do not spend your hard-earned money on a country that does not appreciate you as a black or brown person. For the next 4 years, the world is your oyster. Maldives, Thailand, Bali, Hong Kong, Mexico, Dominican Republic, Jamaica. These are all amazing places. Let's not go to a country that's increasingly becoming lawless. A country where the president has no respect for the rule of law. A country where the president ignores federal judges. My family and I go to Florida every single year. We love Disney, we love Universal. But for the next 4 years, we're going to be going anywhere but. And I think that you should all do the same. Do not travel to America. Pass it on.
So I've cancelled my next trip to the United States. I was meant to be going there in later April. I was looking forward to it as well, like going to Boston, New England, beautiful places, lovely people. In fact, I even have both friends and actually some relatives in Maine, but I've cancelled it because ICE or whatever the hell it is detaining people. I mean, they detained a young Canadian for 10 days. They apparently arrested a bunch of Germans recently. They're going through people's phones. Like, this is meant to be the United States is meant to be the beacon of democracy and freedom and so forth. Well, it is anything but. This is what fascism actually looks like. It is awful in North Korea, and it is awful in Saudi Arabia, and it is awful in Iran. So we can all be honest about that. But when that sort of thing settles in to what we consider to be the free world, that is the erosion of any value that we actually stand for. So I bring business to the United States, right? I run tours. Well, I'm not going to now. It's shocking, but I woke up 3 days in a row worrying about flying down there. And then I talked to someone I know kind of on the inside who said, don't fly in if you're not an American citizen. Like, this is how terrible it is at the moment. So it's sad and it's shocking, but hey, I'm off to Europe in a few days. I can fly down to South America, a lot of beautiful places. And American friends are welcome up here, absolutely. But if you're going to come up and wave a Trump flag, then, don't bother.
Whoa. Okay, so don't come to America right now. I mean, all the obvious reasons why, but this is not safe for you. I just heard about 2 German young men who flew in to Honolulu Airport who were detained by ICE. They were questioned for hours. They were strip searched, naked, strip searched. They were placed in green jumpsuits, and they were put in a holding cell with criminals. Don't come here. It's not safe. It's not safe for me. I'm born and raised here. It's not safe for me. It's definitely not safe for you. Please, 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 please. Don't come here right now. Don't come here right now.
Fellow Brits and fellow Europeans, do not travel to America. Don't do it. Do not do it. Every day we hear another despicable and disgraceful story of people being kidnapped off the streets by ICE, green card holders being deported, immigrants with protected status being sent off to countries that they're not even familiar with. We've all heard the story about the Maryland resident who was actually an American citizen who was deported to an El Salvadorian prison. That man is still not back. America are refusing to bring him back, and El Salvador are refusing to let him go. Not to mention all the stories of people at airports being harassed by TSA agents. I'm not doing it. I'm not taking my family to America until the Tangerine Tyrant expires, or whatever happens to him, or that whole administration leaves, because it's appalling right now. It's not worth it. It's not worth it at all. The world is a big enough place. There are so many beautiful countries out there that you can visit, countries that will welcome you, countries that will not harm you. I'm thinking of Canada, China, Japan, Mexico, for God's sake, Bali. There are so many countries. At this moment in time, Iraq's looking like a great place to bloody vacation in comparison. Of course, I'm kidding. Maybe. Anyway, don't travel to America. Repost and pass it on.
So they're saying that America is the most hated country in the world, and they issue yet another travel warning. So you know what this means. When you're traveling to different countries, different places, these people are looking at you like you're food. This is definitely a warning to all the travelers. Everybody who likes to go to different countries and spend their money and have a good time, be very mindful because we are on that list. So when you're planning your next trip, make sure before you plan that trip, before you pull that trigger, you know exactly where you're going. Because due to recent events, they're saying that America is not in good standing with people. And we can't move in fear, and I'm not saying that everybody doesn't like Americans. What I'm saying is be mindful. Because you don't want to go somewhere that's not close to home and can't get back to home. And this is even an eye-opener for business owners that's right here in this country that depend on tourists to fund everything. Again, they're saying that America, the United States of America, is the most hated country there is right now, which would probably stop a lot of people from coming to America. And not saying that all tourists won't come, but some. Pay attention.
Question for people in other countries. Do you want to visit us anymore?
Hey, American here. So, born in LA, lived in New York, but I haven't lived in the US for about 15 years. I've lived in Shanghai, Seoul, and now I'm currently in Melbourne, Australia. Now, to answer your question, let's get rid of the obvious stuff like gun violence and lack of affordable health care and politicians on both sides that really don't care about the people they're supposed to serve. So these are my 3 reasons why I would not visit, let alone move back to the United States. Number 1, the fuck am I supposed to talk to anybody about? Americans are so myopic and in their own little bubble that it's hard to have a cosmopolitan conversation with most of them. And if I was to talk about America not being the center of the world, it would blow their minds and probably cause a fight. Number 2, the food. Every time I go back, I feel so bloated and gassy and sick. And that's because the food there is so processed and full of sugar and just terrible for you. Many countries around the world won't even allow American food to be imported because it is so bad. So why am I going to waste my time and my health dining out at a California pizza kitchen? And number 3, it's also vanilla, boring, and the same. With the exception of like San Francisco, New Orleans, and New York, it's pretty much any town USA. It's the same strip malls, the same fast food joints, and the same suburban households spread out as far as the eye can see. There's plenty of more interesting places around the world that I'd much rather visit that are more cosmopolitan, have better food, and I'm not going to get shot.
They are not lying about Vegas being dead, y'all. I'm a waitress on the Strip, and last year around this time, I made like $300 to $500 a day in tips. And today, I just walked home with $124.
One of the biggest reasons why I would never go back to living in America, living in New York, is because when you leave America, you realize America is the only expensive place that you could ever go to. Because, bruh, do you know that when I was living in New York, not even a year and a half ago, I used to spend around $5,000-$6,000 a month for all my expenses, probably even more. And do you know that right now I've been traveling for over a year and a half? I've been to 11 different countries so far within a year and a half. And do you know that right now, as we speak, I'm in Colombia. I spend $2,000 a month for all my expenses. All for $2,000 a month. For this apartment, I only pay like $470 a month. So everything else is basically me partying, drinking, smoking, and actually not having to penny pinch. Guys, please wake up. Leaving America, you're going to realize all you need to do is make a little bit of money online and you can travel the world and just literally live abroad. And it's a lot damn cheaper. But if you want to live in America, I wish you the best of luck. Make sure y'all follow me on my YouTube, Cash Travels. You will see every country I've been to. I don't penny pinch and I have a blast. And I've spent no more than like $2,000 for every country I've been to. Wake up.
I have some breaking immigration news that I never imagined would be possible. European countries and Canada just issued a travel warning for the United States. Countries like Germany, Canada, Finland are warning their citizens against traveling to the U.S. They cite the risk of arbitrary detention. Experts estimate that tourism to the U.S. will tank by $22 billion. So my question to you is this. If Europe and Canada are warning their citizens against traveling to the U.S., Do you really think this is the right time to risk traveling internationally if you have a green card or a visa in the U.S.? Let me know in the comments below.
If you're an American living abroad, please tell me why you would never go back.
Because I don't have to worry about affording my health insurance, because my kids can go outside and play without me having to worry because the crime rates are so much lower, public transportation, 30 plus vacation days a year, so much paid paternal leave, because my son is now bilingual and working on becoming trilingual, because I'll save $100,000 in my son's paid university tuition, because I no longer have to worry about my own student loans, because even though I live in the most religious state, I'm not shamed for being atheist, because I can actually afford daycare, because my kids don't have to worry about being unalived at school, and because my taxes actually go towards helping other families.
Right now, people are no longer visiting America. A whole lot of people are no longer thinking of even going to America, all because the orange man has spoiled everywhere. People no longer look at that place as a place to visit. Even people who are even citizens are even scared of coming in. I want you to watch these people's experience. Even people in Canada. Imagine Canada that is very close to America. They don't want to come to America. That's crazy.
I'm an American living in Denmark, and I think we've just made the decision that we are not going back to visit the US this year. And it was not an easy decision because I just had a baby in November, and I was really looking forward to bringing her to meet my family. Sorry. Heavy topic, but she's cute. My parents were just here in the summer, and so it's kind of like our turn to go to the US. And so I thought after she was born, in a couple months, I'll figure out her passport, and then we would probably go in like the spring or summer. And then all these plane accidents started happening in the US, and I'm already a nervous flyer, so that did not make me feel great about flying in US airspace. And then there was a measles outbreak in Texas, and my family lives in Texas. Don't love that. I was kind of taking like a wait and see approach. I figured by the time I get her passport, maybe the plane stuff will be better. Maybe the measles outbreak will be contained. I can get both my kids vaccinated. My family is vaccinated. It might be okay. And now there are these stories coming out about Europeans and other international visitors being detained by ICE when they enter the United States for reasons that are like questionable at best, illegal at worst. And given that my husband is Danish, it's just like another thing that makes me feel like maybe it's not a good idea to go. And look, rationally, I can acknowledge that flying is still the safest method of transportation. It is very unlikely that my kids would contract and die from the measles while we're there. It is also very unlikely that my husband would be detained by ICE when he's done nothing wrong. Like, in all likelihood, it would be fine if we went. But it's just like, how many chances can I take? How many risks can I take when it comes to my family and my children? So I was talking to my parents about this, and they totally understand my concerns, and hopefully they will come to visit us, or maybe we'll meet somewhere else. But yeah, it's a kind of a surreal thing that we've gotten to this point that, like, as a US citizen, I don't feel safe bringing my family to visit the US. I moved to Denmark during the first Trump administration, and I never felt like this about going back. But all this stuff is very scary. So I'm wondering how other Americans abroad are feeling about going back to the US. I'm sure that there are some people that will think I'm overreacting, or people that think like they're valid concerns, but they're not gonna let it stop them from seeing their family. And I understand that too. But yeah, I just don't feel, I feel very uneasy about the idea of going right now. And I'm really grateful that my family in the US supports that decision. And we're going to try and make something else work. But it's also really sad that we've reached this point. Scary times.
So y'all know them travel advisory reports that the United States loves to push out, basically telling us to not go to certain places because they're violent or it's not safe. Yeah, so the Department of Commerce has now issued a report showing a growing list of countries advising their citizens to not come to the United States, to not come and visit the United States. Yeah, now we are not the safe country. So I'm reading from an article that you can find on Forbes.com, right? So it says that the United States government reported a double-digit overall drop in international arrivals last month, with much bigger losses coming from Canada, Mexico, and lucrative Western Europe markets, suggesting foreign tourists are staying away in significant numbers due to the tariff backlash and even harsher immigration tactics. So I'm just going to read off some of these statistics. So in the Caribbean, they have seen a 26% drop from visitors and tourists. Africa, 10% drop. South America, 11% drop. Central America, 24% drop. Asia is a 1% drop. And now the two largest governments, or the two largest European markets, the United Kingdom is down 15%, and then Germany is down 29%. These governments are telling their citizens to not come over to the United States, not visit the United States, in fear that ICE agents will detain their citizens and not bring them back to their native land, which we see is the case here in this administration. If they come here, God forbid, get detained by ICE, ICE will not allow them to prove that they're visiting, will not allow them to prove their visas. They will most likely send them to a detention center and then ship them over to El Salvador's mega prison, just like they did with that teenage New York Bronx kid that's actually from Venezuela. Instead of deporting him to his native country, they deported him to the mega prison. Yeah, that's what they don't want to happen, because if that happens, there's no way for people, their actual family and their government to even be made aware of what's going on, because ICE agents will not inform nobody. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt was actually questioned on this yesterday during a press conference, to which she said, I haven't even seen the report. I haven't even seen the report. As the White House Press Secretary, is that not your job? Is that not your job to be aware and to manage the reputation of the government? Instead, she decided to say, while I haven't seen the reports and I would have to read it in order for me to effectively comment, I do believe that the administration that we're in right now is so much safer and so much better than the one that we were in previously 4 years ago. So I don't know why they would be advising their citizens to not come over here. It's because of this administration's policy and their harsh immigration tactics. That's why. These are tourists that often have to come over here on a visa. ICE agents are not allowing people to even prove their legal status. Why the fuck would anybody come over here? Just so you know, the United States makes $2 trillion in tourism. $2 trillion that we're starting to lose now. And that $2 trillion is tied up in the United States GDP, which is part of the reason why the US dollar is the world's reserve currency. That goes down. I think you know where I'm going with this. So now, thanks to this administration and all of its dumb policies, we are facing a possible recession, inflation. The entire world globally is laughing and mocking our democracy and our government. We are now starting to lose profit that we make on tourism. And as a New York City native, I'm not going to lie, we could use a little less tourism here in New York City. But overall, for American economy, that's not a good thing. It's not a good thing at all. Maybe if this administration wasn't too worried with trying to rack up and rally as many free slaves to ship over to that mega prison in El Salvador, we wouldn't have to be dealing with this. I'm just saying.
Don't travel to the U.S. and don't buy American goods. I understand the gravity of that request coming from me. And I fully understand that there are a lot of people that can't do it. So let me explain myself. If you're watching this and you don't know who I am, I'm an American who's living abroad in Aotearoa, New Zealand, and one who is fearing for the state of the States at the moment. But as the world watches the States, there is a sense of absolute disgust with what's happening. And there's a sense of hopelessness and futility as we watch the United States of America become the Democratic People's Republic of America. This is something that we can do to directly affect what's going on. First is, don't travel to the States. This is especially true if you are not a white person.
I hate to say it that way, but it is very true. Migrant hate is at an all-time high. And just watching it and hearing the stories, I do not feel like it's safe for you guys to go. But besides that, if you go to the States, all the money that you spend on that holiday eventually goes back into the economy and then supports the administration. Because all that revenue earned on tourism gets taxed. And all that tax money goes straight to you-know-who. Another thing that we can do here is to boycott American goods. I know that that's a big ask. In some places, that's not going to be as big an issue because they're getting tariffed and all these goods are becoming so expensive you don't want to buy them anyway. But in a place like Aotearoa, the tariffs don't necessarily affect us as much here, so some American goods are going to be cheaper, especially when we're having kind of a cost of living crisis here. But where you have the option, please try to avoid American goods if you can. I'm just as guilty of this. There's so many vices I have that come out of the States. But one of the only things you can do is hit him in the pocket. One of the main reasons that he got in was on promises of making things cheaper and more affordable and creating American jobs. All while completely forgetting that his biggest donors, that the biggest part of American industry comes from world trade and international money. Look, I know it's a big ask. I really do. And it's going to be hard for me too. And I'm not going to be able to give up all American goods. But where possible, as a world community, let's make a stand as best we can and say that we're not happy with how he's treating the global community. Feel free to disagree with me. That's the beauty of the internet, but it's just something to think about as we're going through this, that this has been the first 3 months and we've got 4 years of it. And he so far has gotten away without thinking that he has any consequences. And all we can do is try to give him some consequence. Because a great teacher of mine has told me there's only 2 ways that people learn anything. That's wisdom and consequence. And if you won't listen to wisdom, you have to face the other one.
I left the US 8 months ago, and something that shocked me is that nobody likes America except for Americans. And even a lot of Americans don't like America. When I learned that people have no interest in visiting the US, I was shocked because I thought, isn't the US one of the best countries in the world? But I think that's what they teach us in the US. People think Americans are loud, disrespectful, unruly, obnoxious, pretentious. One of my European friends said, I typically refuse to hang out with Americans, but you're all right. When Americans come to Japan, they're usually shocked that Japanese people don't speak a lot of English at all. And they'll say, why don't they speak English? But you're coming to someone else's country where they speak their language. Why don't you learn their language if you want to visit their country? For some reason, we also have to measure everything differently. Feet, inches, miles, pounds, Fahrenheit. When everyone else in the world uses meters, kilos, and Celsius.
Hey guys, I'm here in the Orlando airport and there's not a single soul in here. Guys, airports are 24/7. I don't think you have ever seen this in Orlando. This is like one of the most busiest. Oh my God, look at this. I could show you down the hallway. Nobody, guys. I have never seen this before in my life. Look at this, the tram, not a single soul. Guys, this is scary. Anyways, guys, I just thought I'd tell you, this is one of the most busiest airports because of Disney, obviously, right? Disney. Guys, there's nobody in here. Everything is closed down. What's going on? This is the first time I've ever seen this in my life. Guys, let me know in the comments if you ever seen the Orlando airport, Orlando, this dead before. Guys, this is scary. Anyways, guys, I am filming this. Look at this. Look at the tram. Not a single soul. Guys, there's nobody waiting in the hallways. There's nobody in the restaurants. Everything is closed. I don't know, guys. I'm kind of scared. I gotta go. All right, bye.
I'm not complaining. I have no idea what's going on, but I'm in the Atlanta airport and it's empty. It's like no one in here. I'm shocked. Apparently this is the busiest airport in the world. I believe that. I've been here 1,000 times. But today, it's not busy at all. There's so much negative space.
Guys, I'm at JFK Airport at the immigration right now. Behind me, you see
there's no lines for tourists. It's only Americans coming back home, but there's no tourists coming to America right now. Nobody wants to come to Trump land, huh? People are boycotting the US.
Traveling smoothly now thanks to Trump.
Trump of America, empty. Look at these airports. Nobody. I did.
Vegas airport. Look at how empty it is. It's almost eerie. There are people down there. I don't think I've ever been to Vegas airport when there's nobody here.
Want to know why the ports are empty? The US dollar is losing its value. That's why. I don't want to hear about fix your credit. I don't want to hear no lies about I made my side hustle made me $20,000. I make more money on my side hustle than I do doing my regular 9 to 5. I don't want to hear none of that bullshit. Do you have any eggs? Do you have any cows or goat in your backyard? Do you have any chickens? Right now is the best time to start utilizing our natural instincts. I am so fucking serious right now. If you know how to fish and hunt, you better do it. And if not, you better fucking learn. Don't know how to grow anything? You can buy a little grow kit off of Amazon. Y'all better start doing something. Because the ports are empty and the US dollar is losing its value. And eventually there's going to be famine. That's what it's gonna come down to, this to survival of the fittest. Either you know how to survive or you don't. Aesthetics don't help you survive, baby. These little neutral colored couches and damn pictures y'all got on the walls and the little tapping of the coffee cups and shit, that's not going to do nothing for you in the next couple of weeks. Y'all better learn how to eat, and you better learn how to hunt, and you better learn how to grow some shit. And I'm not even going to hold you. If you want to grow it, you better grow it now, because when it gets summertime, watch that heat be so hot that not even the plants and the fruits will be able to withstand it. I promise you. I promise you that. The days of living the luxury lifestyle or portraying the lifestyle of luxury are over. It is time to learn how to survive out here in these streets. I'm dead ass. All right? I am so fucking serious. Get you a bread maker and start making you some bread. That's what you need to be doing, because shit is finna get real fast.
I'm not really one to be alarmist, but I just saw our local port. Some of you know that I drive for Uber. And I had to drive past our port that's local to me. And usually it's filled, shipping container on top of shipping container, maybe 5 piled high, 5, somewhere around 5. I don't really know. Could be less, but a lot. And it's covered from one end of the yard to the other. And when I drove by it, there were 3 shipping containers, where usually there's at least 300 more. I've seen all the maps and all the people showing the live data of like, hey, this is I can't remember which port it was, but it's like the most active port. Put it in the comments if you don't mind. And then there's like no one coming in. And then in China, it's just all of the activity is shifted to China. I've heard it predicted that we will have empty shelves by April 30th. No one wants to deal with us. Even rolling back the tariffs, the dollar is sinking in value. This is not something that we can just come right back from. I don't think y'all understand. We've been competing with China for years, and they caught up quickly, and now they're passing us. We could have stood a chance. Biden was trying to build chips here, trying to, invest in the infrastructure that we needed, and Trump just destroyed all of it. And then on top of that, put on worldwide tariffs based on stupidity and a lack of understanding of basic economics. And then he's got sycophants that will just say, oh yeah, no, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. It's going to bring all the jobs. It's going to bring all the jobs. And then he turns around on the tariffs and they're like, oh no, he was just art of the deal, art of the deal, art of the deal. This is going to have long lasting impacts on Americans. And those of us that are less fortunate, we are going to bear the brunt of it. If you can, I doubt anyone's made it this far, but if you can, go and stock up on noodles, beans, rice, just the essentials, just in case. They'll last forever, and it's not like it's going to be bad to just have them in your cupboard, you know? We don't want to be wasteful. We don't want to panic, but we want to be prepared, right? So, this is America.
Shout out to those creators. They really said my mind. I wouldn't come to a place where I don't know if I'll be thrown to the alligator Alcatraz. I wouldn't know if I'll go to a place where I'll just be bundled up, humiliated, kidnapped from the streets by ICE and all of that. So, see, it's so scary. Right now, the airports, everywhere is so quiet. People no longer think of visiting. I'm telling you the truth. Like, a lot of people are beginning to say, to hell with that country. What is even there and all of that? That shows something is not actually right. Although, of course, couple of months or close to a year right now, America is not really what, it ought to be. But then, what do you want us to do? We just pray everything changes. Do I hope it's going to change? Of course, it's going to change. America still remains number one in the world, even though I know I don't have the access, right, to get into America, but I wouldn't want anyone to take away that number one from them in the world. That's number one spot in the world from them. So I believe if this particular administration has been the reason why people are no longer visiting America, by the time they are done, people will learn. That is, if people will learn from what happened. Because, of course, some people will never learn. If people will actually learn, change, and bring somebody else who is better, I believe things will even get even better than it has ever been. Right? That's just it. But for now, I would not advise. Right? I wouldn't, because come on, things are even very expensive. There's no Medicaid anymore. There's no food stamps again. So you can imagine that. You can imagine. So it's crazy. So I want you to tell me, do you still think people are still coming in? Let me hear you. I would like to see opinion in the comments. Right. Do not forget to subscribe, like, share this video to your friends and your people. Let's make this go viral. I'll be back with another one. Thank you so much for staying.